tuned into the greatest sports show on the planet. That's Prince, and he's Barty. And you're now listening to Prince and Barty. Buckle up. He is a Laker maniac, and he is the Archbishop of the Bronx Sexuals. Welcome back to Prince and Barty.
Get right into it, bro. Like, hey, you know I'm hot. You know I'm hot. These Lakers, man. Like I told you before this series start, I didn't like the matchup. You know, the famous Barty line, styles make fights. It just, the athleticism, I was afraid of what I tell you about Reeves. They always target him defensively. You know what I mean? Because him and Luke aren't the best defenders on our team. You know what I mean? So Daniel's out there looking like Scottie Pippen. It's wild right now, bro. So talk to me. Yeah.
The problem with the matchup is when you look at it, Ant is playing out of his mind. He's playing like he's one of the best two guards we've ever seen. 43 points. He's getting the rebounds. He's getting the steals. He's getting the assists. And then Daniels is playing like the future Scottie Pippen, as you said. The Lakers in trouble, as most people say. I don't think that it's over now, but I believe that the series will still go about six, maybe 7 games. 6, maybe 7. I can see the Lakers winning Game 5. Timberwolves either win Game 6 or they lose in 7. But right now, I ain't looking like well, and he's playing great defense, but his age is catching up to him. You can see that. I mean, he played most of the second half. We don't have a bench, and J.J. Redick is looking like the coach of the Knicks, where he doesn't trust his bench player.
So if the Lakers are down 3-1, you know what? I think my thing is with the adjustments, right? Listen, we're not gonna get 7-footers overnight, right? Jackson Hayes, like I told you, this wasn't his series. He just makes dumb fouls. But my thing is J.J. Redick's adjustments defensively. It's one thing Julius Randle's going to get his, Ant's going to get his, but you got Nas Reed out here looking like all world. You know, you got Daniels looking all world. You got Mike Conley killing you. So it's like we're up 11, we're up 9. One thing I noticed too with Luka, man, and I never noticed this about his game before, his pace is almost too slow. You see him bringing up the court, he does his spin move, and he gets ripped every time. Where most cats try to get past that half-court line so they don't want the 10 seconds, he kind of takes his time, and he likes to dribble to the corners. Basketball one-on-one, you dribble to the corners, that's where we're going to trap. But every time he got trapped, so now he's up in the air trying to make a cross-court pass, and it's getting tipped. You know, we had crazy turnovers. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know, coaching is probably the key in this series. And when we look at Minnesota's coach compared to JJ, you can see the experience. But I just hope that the Lakers can figure this out because they're one win away from, hey, listen, 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
So let me ask you this. Like, let's look past. If the Lakers lose 4-1, couple things. Down 3-1 now. I think we'll win the next game because it's do or die. It's a pride game for Luka because you don't want Nico looking right because Luka's looking suspect defensively. They was targeting Luka at every chance they got. It was a meme going around where it's just cones of Luka, LeBron. We look like cones and doing whatever he wanted on the court, right? I don't know why we didn't play Vando down the stretch. It's a lot of questions I have on the defensive end, right? We lose 4-1 to Minnesota. What's next for LeBron, Luka, and the Lakers as a whole going into next season? Because LeBron's another year older. So what do we do next?
Lakers need to get another star, maybe some more defense. When you look at the squad itself, it's kind of hard to play with a star who doesn't play defense. He's not a great defender. He's not a great on the defensive side, and it's scary because the more that you look at it and you deal with it, it's gonna be hard. I mean, you know, most people like
because you can't hide it. You can't hide it,
and that's the crazy part. But I mean, I think that you have to get a team Golden State-esque where you got at least two pillars in the defense. LeBron is playing good D. I mean, we saw him get, two steals, 3 blocks today. He did it the last 2 games. It's not much you can ask for him. These are Scottie Pippen-esque type numbers. And, hey, what can you say? What can you do?
Yeah, I think with LeBron, it's just like anybody. When cats get tired, they're not going to the rim no more. So now you're shooting jumpers, right? We're up. I think we was up by 40 seconds left. Braun shot that deep three. It was a heat check. Now Braun hits that, we probably win the game. But you missed that, it ended up being a swing for Ant Edwards. You know what I mean? But what I've been noticing about this playoffs, man, it's been real physical. You know, the refs have been letting them play. You know, a lot of cats who grew up in the '90s, we said we want that '90s physicality back. But you're seeing that, you know, in the first round of these playoffs. You know, some missed calls, refs letting them play through. What do you think about that missed call in the Knicks Detroit series, man? I think, you know, happy the Knicks won. I always said the Knicks winning is good for the league. Lakers, Knicks, and Celtics, good for the league. But I think Detroit was robbed today. What do you think about kind of the refs and the physicality of the first round?
It's funny because the Lakers game was moved by one play with that foul by Ant. Now, if Ant never got that foul call, or they never went back and looked at it, but you know, it's funny they didn't let it slide in the Minnesota series, but they let it slide in the Knicks series. And that's
Yes.
the scary part. But I mean, what can you do? What can you say? All you can do is just continue to play through it. I mean, they are a young team. Bickerstaff, the coach, is very. I would be upset. JB Bickerstaff, I would be very upset by the whole situation that they didn't give me that call. But when you look at it, that's the way the NBA goes. The last 2 minutes is big for every team.
Yeah. I just think it's a smack in the face, you know, when the ref's like, oh, my bad, I should have called that. You know, he came out and said he made a mistake. That What does that do for the fan base? At this point, that's like, oh, my bad. What? Like, you cost a team a series. So I think the Knicks are going to close it out, you know, back at the Garden. So that's definitely a tough break for Detroit, man.
Yeah, definitely tough break for Detroit, but they'll bounce back next year. I mean, good coaching, great team. You know, you got Schroeder, you got Cade, you got Stewart, and all them boys. They have such a good squad and a good pillar for their future. It should be interesting. And the holes of the Knicks will only get exploited in the next round by the Knicks.
It's the Barty Report.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Where Ace Lombardi, a.k.a. Barty, brings you the latest news, rumors, and updates of the NFL.
Let's get right to it, man. A lot to talk about the draft, man. A lot of drama. You know, Shador obviously finally getting picked up by the Browns. But before that, man, there was a lot of, we let everybody get their takes off, man. A lot of conspiracies. They trying to pay Dion back. They questioning Shador's skill set, mechanics. I know you haven't really been high on Shador as a football player. You know, we know the pedigree of the Sanders name. Shador's a good kid as far as he's not off the field getting in trouble. I think we always kept it on the field as far as you just weren't really impressed with him. What do you think he's going to do with the Browns? He's picked. That drama's behind him now, getting on the field. Does he have a chance to be the week one starter?
You know what's crazy? Well, it's possible because of the injury to Deshaun. But then you still have all the other backups, and they drafted another backup. So he has to prove himself in OTAs and in training camp, as well as in the preseason. Can he prove himself with those weak style quarterbacks? Anything is possible. But the one thing that kind of scares me is it's so many quarterbacks you have to go up. I think it's at least about 5 quarterbacks they have on that roster. And that's like, what are you going to do with 5 quarterbacks? You know, I believe that the Browns blew a draft pick. Remember, this same Browns team had a chance to get Travis Hunter and Shador, and they traded away their pick. Um, a lot of great people they could have gotten picked up. One of my favorite picks was the Giants pick, Abdul Carter. He's going to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
beast. I won't be surprised if he is the next Michael Parsons. He has a great game. And so looking at that, I would have never traded away my draft position for all what I've lost, but they traded away and they scrambled to get what? Two quarterbacks who basically you're unsure of because nobody wanted to really draft Shador, but the Browns showed that, hey, we're a dysfunctional quarterback crew, so we can draft.
Nah, for sure, man. I got to show love to Jacksonville, man. They made the move and went and got our guy, man, Travis Hunter. You know, that was a shock to everybody on draft night. You know, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're getting involved. I mean, a lot of people saying he's going to play on the receiver side. I think with Trevor Lawrence down there, man, he's been so inconsistent. They just need anything. They need any kind of mix up on defense and on offense, man. What do you think Travis is going to do in Jacksonville, man? It's a great city. You know, obviously I went to college there, man. They love their football there, and they love players that compete on a high level. So Jacksonville's a great town. I'm happy for them. But what is he actually going to do on the field there when he starts?
Travis Hunter, you know, when you look at that squad, I don't see him playing 100% offense, 100% defense. Maybe, you know, you get him in as a third down wide receiver. You would also get him in as a starting cornerback. And I think that with what he can do at those two positions is going to be big time for that team because they need another big wide receiver, and that'll be good for their wide receiver core and then also for their defense. The defense, the secondary has never been shored up. Now you have a short secondary with Travis Hunter. So I think that his propel can propel that team to the playoffs in the AFC.
The Eagles made some good positions, man. Good, y'all got some good defensive linebackers and things of that nature. How do you feel about y'all draft day?
Campbell was a major pickup from Alabama. They had a great pick at safety later down in the draft, had a couple of offensive linemen that they picked up. I'm surprised they didn't go offense, but I understand why because last year we had one of the top offenses in the league, and we're comfortable with what we have on the offensive side of the ball. But I like it because Campbell can be that linebacker who we can blitz in and get sacks. He could be a TJS linebacker. So for them to pick him up and put him in and have him somebody who can come in and blitz or create pressure on the opposing quarterback, it's going to be good for Philadelphia.
Well, let's look at our boy Cam Ward, man. You know, alum got picked up by Tennessee, man. What do you think Cam Ward? You know, I like Cam Ward's disposition, man. Laid back cat. He don't do too much.
Mm-hmm.
Was there with his parents. Just a laid back dude, man. You know, seemed like a good kid. You know, bounced around in college, found a home at the U. What do you think he's gonna do?
Cam Ward, when he gets to the Titans, he's going to change everything. He's going to change everything. They already have three decent wide receivers. They have a decent running game. They have good enough defenders. They have a great coach who they just picked up, who's going to have great defense for them. So now you have Cam Ward coming in, running the offense. I don't see no way of them starting anybody but Cam. Cam will probably be the only quarterback to see action ASAP. So it should be interesting what he does with the squad, how he moves. But I think Cam is going to come out and he's going to be another one to make the Titans a instant contender for the playoffs. I think one of those two teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Tennessee Titans, could be looking at making it to the postseason this year.
Holding court with Prince. Our resident NBA guru, Prince, dives into all things basketball.
Fades into a three. Got it! Curry!
The Memphis Grizzlies, man. You know, obviously they got swept. Disappointment after disappointment. Ja had the hip injury, didn't get to play the last game. They fought real hard. We thought they was going to get a win for it to be a gentleman's sweep, but they didn't pull it off. Jared Jackson Jr., Triple J, just been struggling. 12 points, 10 points. It's just he hasn't been the guy they needed him to be. And he's up for a big contract. What's next for Memphis, just as a team, you know? Obviously, it all went bad since the gun thing with Ja, and it's just been downhill from there, man. You lose Dylan Brooks. Marcus Smart comes in, doesn't work out there. He gets hurt. What's next for the Grizzlies? You just blow it up? Like Ja throws a grenade, do you blow it up? What do you do with the Grizzlies?
Grizzlies need an athletic big or an athletic wing. Someone to play alongside Ja. It's too much on Ja. And then they have an undersized two guard in Desmond Bane. Bane is a great shooter, but he's a defensive liability. And when your best defender in your backcourt is Ja, which is your number one star, it's great, but it can take a lot off of Ja. And you got Triple J, great defender. But of course, for some reason or another, his defense doesn't always go into the postseason. I see it in the regular season, but he's not as great as a defender in the postseason. They need another athletic wing. They can get another athletic wing. We're looking at a team who's sustainable in that playoff push. Because remember, 2 weeks before the playoffs, they were the third seed. They fell all the way to the eighth seed. And that's because of poor team positioning, poor team management, poor coaching, and the GM. I don't know what's going on with the GM, but it's just going to be interesting to see what they do in the future. But if I was a GM on that team or someone who was directing the future of the Memphis Grizzlies, I would position myself to get another wing player, somebody who I know can take the edge or the ease the load for John Morant.
Let's talk Jalen Brunson, man. You know, Jalen Brunson obviously won the Clutch Player of the Year. Had a hell of a game today, man. You know, we thought he was out with that re-injuring that ankle, but he fought through, got his Willis Reed on. Talk to us about Jalen Brunson and just his grit, man. Smallest guy in the court, probably with the biggest heart. Play bigger than Cat. You know, Cat 7 foot. He probably 6 foot, but he played bigger than Cat. Cat hit some big shots tonight. But talk about Jalen Brunson's just hustle, man. That man could just flat out hoop. You know, like them dudes who at the park who could just hoop. Nothing special, but they just get buckets, man. Talk to us about Brunson.
Undersized guard, great scorer, clutch shooter. Some can say this is the second greatest guard that Tibbs has had other than Derrick Rose. And you notice he builds his team around those silky, quick, herky-jerky point guards. One who was explosive at punching the basketball, dunking, shooting, pulling up. Another one who Euro steps, jump shooter, mid-range game, clutch shooter. Shout out to Jalen Brunson, man. I mean, I know Rick Brunson is proud, former Knick. Just looking at what they're doing and how they're moving with that team, Hart, Kel Bridges, Cat Towns, they just have the right chemistry to beat this team as far as Detroit. You can tell that they've been playing together long, and I think that's the difference in that series, is that you got somebody who has more chemistry, and the team with the most chemistry is winning. And that's because of the leadership of Jalen Brunson. Shout out to him, man. He's doing big things. It's a good chance as far as what they have. But as I said before, second round is going to show you a lot about who these teams are.
For sure, man. Let's talk Steph Curry, man. Steph Curry had a monumental game the other night. Obviously, Jimmy's out with his injury. So we know a lot of the offensive onus was going to be on Steph Curry. Steph delivered, man. Draymond delivered defensively. You know, him and Green got into it, told Jalen Green, go paint your nails. So it was a lot of trash talking, man. I feel like Steph really cracked Ume Udoka's code. They had him bottled up, putting the big twin on him. Steph is Steph, man. I feel like we always talk about Steph's legacy and what else he needs to add to it. I personally think he doesn't have to add anything, but what would this prove, you know, Steph being an elder statesman, you know, Jimmy's 35, Steph 35 plus, Draymond up there, you know. What would it do to beat this young team single-handedly if you're Steph Curry? Just by straight skill and experience.
We know with this Houston team, because they're so young, I wouldn't be as impressed by this one. I think a lot of people would have defeated Houston because Houston was the weakest of the top seeded team. I think what they do in the next round can cement his legacy because from this perspective, number one, they would play the same team that the Lakers just played if the Lakers get eliminated. And if they beat that team, it will cement his legacy as far as really doesn't matter who he goes up against. Now, the thing that's crazy, as you look at the Lakers and the Warriors, the thing that kind of shows me the most is that towards the end of the season, you really believe they had a shot versus OKC. But now, the way OKC is playing, the way they looking, even with Steph playing the way he is, SGA got them boys ready to play. I definitely can see Celtics OKC as far as the NBA Finals, and it still would be entertaining.
No, 100%, man. Let's talk hockey, man. What have you been seeing from this hockey playoff so far?
You know, the hockey playoffs has been good, man. We've had a lot of great synergy in certain series. One series that jumps out at me is the Capital series. I mean, I'm excited because, of course, Ovechkin has broken the record. And now that he's broken the record, we're looking at a team that can make a run. They're currently leading the series 2-1. If they win tonight, they will be up 3-1, and then we will be talking about who they're playing next. Um, the Blues and the Winnipeg Jets are tied as well. I mean, it's a lot of great series. You know me, I'm big on VGK as far as the LA Kings. So if I had to make a pick right now, I would go Kings or Capitals. Those are the two teams that in the West I would go Kings. In the East I would go Capitals. Just from the standard of what Washington is built, it's not just based on Ovechkin. It's a full team effort. And if they pull this series out, this would be their biggest test as far as moving forward in the NHL Cup.
No doubt, man. Let's jump back into the playoffs, man. The Clippers, Denver, it's been a great series, man. I know we this is one of our series we look forward to. You know, obviously Kawhi healthy, Harden healthy, Joker and Jamal Murray. You know, that's a great matchup. But looking at it now, man, what do you think? Who do you think is going to pull it out?
The winner of this series more than likely has a good chance at winning the West. They get OKC next, which should be interesting because OKC is rested. I think Denver will be a bigger problem for OKC because of Joker. But when you look at the way Kawhi and Harden are playing, and you know, I saw this one thing that a lot of people can't say. You know, we got to start giving Harden his flowers. He's a great teammate. For him to get Kawhi to open up, for Kawhi to play with them. Kawhi loves playing with him. The team loves him. Ty Lue loves him. You know, Harden needs to get some more flowers for what he's done as far as keeping this team afloat as one of the playoff teams and being the leader of the squad. Because you can't say Kawhi is the leader because, you know, not saying that he doesn't lead by example, but the vocal leader of that team is James Harden.
Nah, no doubt, man. You know, obviously Van Gundy got them locked in defensively. I seen something with Pat Bev. He was talking about Big Zoo, how, you know, Big Zoo was quiet after he got traded to the Clippers, didn't have no rollie. You know, Pat Bev put him on to the dress game, told him what car to buy. And now you bring Harden over there, man. You know, Harden got all the got all the info with the street. So Big Zoo out here playing out of his mind, man. So that series is very interesting, man. All the games been decided by a low margin, except for the blowout. You know, you're always going to get a blowout in the series, but I think Joker is the coach, man. I think he's full Braun now, where Mike Malone was doing the coaching before, but I think Joker's fully the coach of that team. Um, Aaron Gordon they talk about playoff Jimmy. Aaron Gordon comes alive every playoff, so be interesting to watch, man. But looking at this Heat and Cleveland series, man, we already know that Cleveland's going to win it all, win that. But Mobley, man, you know, Mobley got Defensive Player of the Year. What are your thoughts on Mobley, man? He's a hell of a player, man, could guard pretty much 1 through 5, especially on switches. What do you think Mobley means to Cavaliers going forward?
I'm happy for him because we knew what kind of player he was, but he never really got the accolades he deserves. And now for him to get a Defensive Player of the Year, you know, not too many people have one of those. So to be a part of that club, the DPOY, you definitely are in a class by yourself, personified, but you're also proving why the Cavs are the number one seed. Now,
Nah, for sure,
if he
man.
can play this way throughout postseason, then we'll have a conversation as far as the Cavs coming out of the East being better than the Celtics.
So this playoffs been interesting too because a lot of the celebrity fans have been going on the road, man. Chalamet's on the road, man. Spike Lee has been on the road. What do you think about the celebs spending their money other places? It's one thing to have courtside seats at your home arena when you're the biggest fan, they're getting hookups, but to go to another arena and still be courtside, that's a stunt, man. I know a lot of people. Spike Lee has made a lot of money, making some great films, great movies, arguably one of the greatest directors of our generation. And to see him he still got that check, man. Spike has never fell off financially. He's courtside for decades upon decades. What do you think about celebrities being able to keep that status, as a super fan?
Well, when you look at Spike always going to be a super fan because he makes timeless movies. And then also, I mean, he keeps it real with the Knicks, He's not a fair weather fan. He's been a Knicks fan when they were bad, the Dolan days, when they were good in the Ewing days, Bernard King, Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire. He's been true and true a fan. Getting into it with Spike Lee, doing commercials with Michael Jordan. I mean, we're talking about probably one of the biggest basketball fans we've ever seen in the history of the game of the National Basketball Association.
Prince and Barty is your #1 source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes.
Are you ready? It's time for Ringside Rundown with Prince. Discussing the biggest fights, post-fight reactions, and the latest news in the world of boxing and MMA.
Looking forward to that fight between the rematch between Roach and Tank. One thing that kind of blows me with this fight is everybody and their mama believes Tank is going to come back and pull this thing out. But as I've said before, I see Antonio Tarver, I see Roy Jones, I see coming into the second round, Roach catching with the chin check, and then we are having a different conversation about Tank Davis. I mean, what is your take on this as far as we talk about ringside chats?
You know what's funny about the Tank and Roach rematch? It's similar to the Minnesota and Lakers series, right? Where optically we love the Lakers, right? Oh, the Lakers not losing. They got LeBron and Luka, right? Tank not losing. He tanked, blah, 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 right? But I think we're not looking at the matchup. I think obviously Minnesota matches up the Lakers very well. They got the scores, and I think Roach matches up with Tank very well. Remember, these guys grew up together, man. Baltimore kids in the rec leagues and all the sanctioned boxing events. They know each other, So it's not a thing where Tank has a supreme advantage. Roach knows Tank has that big right hand. He knows it's coming. I think Roach was really prepared on that last fight. I think a lot of people were just going off the hype of Tank. Tank knows how to talk the talk, man. He was under the tutelage of Floyd Mayweather, man. So Tank knows how to talk the talk, but I think Roach is a no-nonsense guy and is going to come do what he has to do. Like I said before, he playing with house money. If Roach loses, is that going to mess with Roach's legacy up? Not at all. So now, if Tank evens it up, now you're looking at a trilogy. So more money for Roach, more exposure for Roach. So I think if anything now, Roach is always going to get that. He's always going to get that shot at a belt now just by how he fought Tank that first time. He's always going to be at least a gatekeeper, fighting a gatekeeper to keep that belt interesting for sure.
I agree with you, man, 100%. I look forward to seeing the fight and seeing what we got our takeaways from. I think this is the first time in a long time that boxing officially really feels back with all these great fights that we're seeing for this year. So I know everybody's excited for the rematch. And the soonness of the rematch is what makes it even more exciting because we're going to see what kind of conditioning these guys have.
No, for sure, man. But, the draft is over with. Outside of our teams, I'm very happy with the Giants did, obviously, man. I'm not Dart. I could take it or leave it, you know what I mean, with that pick. But obviously, Abdul Carter was probably, to me, the premier guy of the draft, him and Travis Hunter. what are you looking at? What other teams are you looking at that got better, that improved, that you're looking forward to see? I know you're an Eagles fan, obviously, but what team do you got your eye on after this draft, heading into training camp?
I think that the Chargers had a great draft. They addressed a lot of the issues that they have. It should be good to see how the offense moves with the new pieces they got, as well as the defense. I know you said accept our teams, but I think that a lot of people don't realize how good the Ole Miss quarterback is in Jackson Dart. Dart can fix the holes of a Jameis Winston and a Russell Wilson. Everybody was talking about you guys should get Sador, but Ole Miss played better competition. And Jackson Dart proved that he can play up against big NFL-style players. For him to come in that team, if he gets camaraderie with neighbors and the receiving core, it's going to be a serious problem. Then, of course, you still have Tyrone Tracy Jr., good running game, good receiving core. You still have that big mammoth of a tight end in Waller. I mean, there's so much that you have on that offense that can be exploited if healthy and if you can piece everything together for the Giants. So if it was from what I seen between the Giants and the Chargers, they had the best draft. I love what the Chargers did and the holes that they did. But we all know what Harbaugh's going to do. Jim Harbaugh knows what he needs to do and how he needs to do it. But I think the two teams to take away is the New York Football Giants and the LA Chargers.
Mike Tomlin, man, Steelers, they didn't do much of anything. They didn't really impress anybody or anything this draft. What is the plan, for the Rooney family and Mike Tomlin? I think he's on a hot seat for real this time, We've been saying that forever. I think his 10-game winning streak, it's in jeopardy this year. I don't see them I don't even see them getting 5 wins, 6 wins. So what do you think about the Steelers and a future?
You would have thought that they would have picked up or signed Aaron Rodgers, and then it would have fixed all their pains, but they didn't. They allowed Russell to get away. They allowed Shador to get away. Yeah, I thought they were going to go after Jackson Dart. That's what I thought, but they didn't. Quarterback they picked up in the draft, I don't even believe in him. It's a scary sight because we've never seen Tomlin look like he's in panic mode. He always looked like he always had some type of plan. He had some plan in order that his contingencies were always tried and true. But now it's looking like he has no contingency for this year, 2026. And looking at it, they're in deep trouble. 25-26 could be the last time we see Mike Tomlin on the sidelines in black and gold.
For sure, man. Let's talk this movie talk before we get up out of here, man. I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, man. So that Jurassic Park is dropping in July. What movies are you looking at that's upcoming?
Well, you got the Thunderbolts coming out May 1st. You got the Fantastic Four in July, as well as the Superman movie that's in July. I'm actually excited because I want to see The Accountant. Accountant 1 was actually very good. See Ben come back, write, direct, produce another movie. Most of the time, Ben Affleck writes, directs, and produces. It's a great movie. Gone Girl, great movie. The Town was a great movie. The Accountant 1 was a great movie. And now to see The Accountant 2, and he has the Punisher in the movie again, it's going to be a great movie, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Episode 114, man. Thank you for tuning in. We always going to keep it fresh. A lot of, that thing almost hit 100K, man. That debate with Klay Thompson and D Wade. So we're going to keep feeding y'all with just different questions. Just hit us up.
Let us know, man. Prince and Barty, we out here.
Prince and Barty is your #1 source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes. Prince and Barty will be doing live broadcast at several locations around the country. Follow and like all Prince and Barty's social media pages for exclusive details. There will be game tournaments, sport trivia, best fan contest, and cash giveaways all night. This can be your chance to win big.